Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by Pointsbet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Off day for the Cubs, all quiet now as the trade deadline approaches. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera getting you ready for what is the biggest week of the Cubs season. Off the field, of course, but it is still the biggest week of the Cubs season. Follow Cody on Twitter, Cody_CHGO, Ryan_A_Herrera. That's HERRERA. And I am at Luke Stuckmeyer. Or Steve, depending on who you ask. Cubs have won 6 in a row. Doesn't matter. Out in San Francisco. Doesn't matter.
Let's just be miserable.
David Ross took his coaches golfing today out at one of the TPC courses. Doesn't matter. Jed Hoyer and Carter Hawkins, that's what matters right now. As much as a lot of people don't want to talk about it, this is it. We've built everything up since April to this point. So we'll talk about possible trade rumors we've heard, seen. We'll look at some prospect information, and then we'll all just vent. Sound good?
Fair enough.
Sound like a game plan?
Let's do it.
Cody, by the way, made it here on a scooter through the downpour and somehow looks dry.
Yeah. Well, it helps I'm wearing black, but also my shorts were definitely, I think you can kind of see it, maybe, like a little damp. Not trying to show off my entire body here.
Jack said, hi, Steve. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Cody. Hi, Joey. It's actually not Joey today.
No Joey today.
We got Sarah producing the show today, so make sure you say hi to her.
Everyone asked.
Give her a round of applause.
Everyone should ask to see Sarah at some point in this show.
$2 super chat at least.
Yeah.
Only $2. I'm definitely worth more than that.
Yeah.
Well, it's
$10 super chat. And
Joey only took $1.99 to get on the show, so.
$1.99.
I'll make it $3.99.
There you go.
There they are. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Yeah,
I love the base that we have grown here at CHGO Cubs. We are blessed to be able to sit here, talk about this shitty team, and interact with everyone else.
I mean, really, what did we have yesterday? How many people did we have on here on the hour-long one? We had a lot of people.
At one point, triple digits.
Or the 4-hour-long one, I should say.
And, I mean, I'll just be real. Like, we don't get triple digits every show. I don't even think we hit triple digits live on Sunday when we were live for the entire game on Sunday. That was the most we had live, at least, yesterday in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No,
and we're building this. We're setting the bar low because this team is so horrible.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they've won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
Don't fool yourselves. It's a bad baseball team, and it's about to get much, much worse. Kevin Wells saying, I think that's the only shirt Ryan owns.
It appears that Kevin didn't watch our live stream on Sunday, or he would have known that we all wore the black CHGO shirt.
Yeah, we all did wear
the OG black CHGO shirt that we all got. So Kevin clearly wasn't watching our live stream, but a lot of people liked it. A lot of people enjoyed it.
Yesterday I was wearing my Pointsbet T-shirt. Today I'm wearing the Pointsbet hoodie. So yes, I have more than one shirt for everyone who was wondering, because it might look like I'm wearing the same shirt as yesterday. But I just want to put that out there to let everyone know that I did do my laundry.
Jack R says, imagine when the Cubs are good. Yeah, that's what we're thinking too. And there might be a CHGO bar by then.
Ooh.
Rumors of. Could happen. That'd be nice.
That'd be like a 3-story CHGO bar by then.
Right. It's going to be like
remodeling.
You ever been in Nashville? They do the 3-story ones where there's a band on each floor. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm saying that will have been like their 3rd remodel by that point.
Speaking before we get to because there's plenty of rumors and not rumors and fake rumors. When they go to make this CHGO bar, I would like a floor dedicated just to like pop-a-shot, ping pong.
Ooh,
like sort of a game floor.
That would be awesome.
Right?
And I would love, what about those like not the air hockey, but with the little stick?
Oh, the bubble hockey.
Yeah, the bubble hockey
would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there's a must for
like one of the vintage
games in a bar, it's not skee ball or whatever, but like pop-a-shot's always 100%. Good. Bubble hockey's a must.
Like the old school, just always fun games.
I don't need a pool table. Too much geometry involved.
Put some foosball in there. That can get intense.
Foosball. Little NBA Jam. Oh. Little arcade style.
Oh, a couple arcade games in the corner. Maybe some Galaga rolling.
Someone was saying
old school Pac-Man.
Get some bags.
Or a batting cage. Someone said a batting cage on
batting
the
cage.
floor.
Too many injuries. Too many injuries. Too many
We
liabilities.
don't want to. Yeah, we're not trying to make sluggers too.
I like the idea of a batting cage in there.
That's the first time that we wondered what it would take to draw Law Dog out of his air-conditioned cube over there, especially air-conditioned cube. Oh, it's not even on.
Zing.
All right. So where do you want to start? I was going through just kind of searching the internet. I've talked to some people. Listen, we all know Willson Contreras is gone, right? We all think Ian Happ is gone. Let's just go with most of the guys that we're pretty sure are getting traded, because I haven't heard anything about Patrick Wisdom or Rafael Ortega or who else would be a maybe guy. Like, I think those are the two that are sort of fringe. Kyle Hendricks is another one because he's hurt. Like, I don't see how they trade him at this point.
The other one is like Stroman, which like it keeps getting
Stroman,
thrown out there.
Right.
But
If they trade Stroman,
but
my goodness, prepare yourselves for a long rebuild.
That's what I'm saying. Is like that's the one that
prepare yourself for an even bigger backlash.
That's the one that keeps getting thrown
PR-wise.
out, and I just like I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't put any stock into it.
I don't rule it out.
Your friend's Gordon Whitmire has Stroman and is like top 5 of his rankings for
He's number
But
2. He's sticking
you
with
know
it.
one thing about Gordon Whitmire, and I don't think he would deny this, he's an instigator.
He is.
He's a poker. He
He's
likes the hot
definitely-
red poker to get people going.
I've read some stuff, and man, does he trigger me easy.
Yeah,
So,
he loves.
I'd love
he
to
loves
get you
to
two in a
trigger
room
people.
together.
He likes to trigger people, and he likes to trigger the team a little bit.
yeah.
I'd love to put him and Gordon in a room for like 10 minutes and just see what happens.
Yeah. He's an instigator. All right, let's go David Robertson. The first thing I had seen is like we knew he would draw interest. He's had a really good season, ERA under 2. He's done a good job as a closer. He had a couple games in the last month where he thought, trade value. Cody was doing trade value down a couple times.
Oh yeah.
He's rebounded nicely.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of different things. I saw that the Mets are looking for a reliever because they don't have a good left-handed reliever, but he's someone that could at least fill that role in a different way. And so the Mets, Yankees, Rays, all three of those I've heard linked to Robertson. And I believe the quote from, I think this was from Jeff Passan, that he's among the most popular names on the trade market.
Oh, is that in like his big trade
Yeah,
market
where he's going
story?
through all this stuff.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember exactly where I saw it, but I did read somewhere that like Robertson is a name when you talk about relievers, he's at the top of the list for a lot of teams. He's a proven guy. He's not just someone that's done it once.
Yeah, it's someone we've talked about how he's like, he's a veteran. He knows, he's a veteran who knows how to play winning baseball. Obviously, he's had like this fountain of youth season at 37 that like I don't think any of us really saw coming, but he's been very good the entire year. Outside of that 1 week, the Dodgers and the Milwaukee blown saves, but he's been very good all year, and he knows how to play in the bright lights in the biggest stadiums. He's played in New York, he's played in Chicago on both sides of the town. Like, this is a guy that has never shied away from being in the spotlight, like being in the biggest markets and playing in the biggest markets. So it's not surprising to see that the Mets or the Yankees would actually entertain or look into bringing him to New York, because he's at this point, everyone's looking for relief pitching. Anyone that's going to be a contender. Like, the thing is, you can never have too much pitching in general, but relief pitching for sure. And he's been one of the best relievers as far as guys that could theoretically be traded by Tuesday. I think you could say that.
The only difference between him and like a Kimbrel of last year is like no one's going to trade for David Robertson to be a closer, even though the White Sox didn't use him as a closer, right? Even though they should have. That's just my 2 cents. But the Mets and the Yankees are going to use him as a 7th or 8th inning setup guy. That's already got Edwin. I want to say Jackson, but it's not Jackson. Diaz, and then the Yankees, they already have someone too, and it's not ringing a bell in my head. But because of that, I think the haul you get back for a guy like David Robertson is going to be more like what they got for a Tepera or a Chafin last year. That's why I feel like he's been mixed in with trades with Contreras or Happ.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, yeah, that if anyone is curious to why that might be, that's my 2 cents, and or at least what I think of why that he's not really like. I doubt the Cubs are going to move him alone. You know what I mean?
But if they,
They
do,
might, because they did it last year.
Yeah.
And
That's
all
true.
3 of their top relievers did get, chafe into the A's.
Those guys are all young, though.
Tepera and Kimbrel both went to the south side, but in separate deals. So they did really trade them all separately. So
I kind of like the idea of comboing up some of the guys, because at this point in the Cubs rebuild, the farm system has been replenished a little bit. It was really barren. We've heard a lot of names. Guys are doing well. Progress is being made at those lower levels. I would rather have one really good prospect from a team than I would 3 young guys that you have no idea if they're going to make it. Like, I just would rather have – I'd rather have one really good guy than 2 average guys at this point. And I know prospects are hit or miss. It was interesting to see in the chat somebody saying, hey, how absurd is it that they have enough prospects, the Mets, to look at all these deals? Yeah, it was Pat Hunt. Pat saying Baez, Willson, Happ, and Robertson, they could be trading for potentially all of those guys. And that's when you realize how bare the Cubs farm system was. Because who would have ever been trade partners with the Cubs on anything? Well, the trade wasn't an option if you were trying to add for the Cubs, because there was nobody you could ship away that was going to get you major league talent. Like, so they need to build that.
In a way, you can look back at the Cole Hamels trade and the Nick Castellanos trade and be like, wow, Theo, GOAT. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the Cubs farm after 2017, who was a guy? David Bodie.
Bodie and Happ, but Happ took a while,
Well, Happ was 17.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
I'm talking about 18 and on. Like, in terms of like not even like a major, but just even like someone.
it really was.
There really wasn't.
It really was just
anyone.
Bodie. Like,
Yeah.
and then
So
even that was kind
Well,
of.
we're
like
going to
David
talk
Boyd
about
and-
some of them too
Yeah.
soon, but
Yeah, we
like
will.
Alzolay and Marquez and some of
Alzolay,
these
okay.
guys,
Yeah.
they you would have hoped that they'd have been at the major league level right now, but
Right.
injuries have been a big problem, and that's
Right.
part of baseball.
Alzolay is
too.
another one with Bodie. You could say I think he made his debut in 18 or 19. So you got me there. I always
Got you.
forget about Alzolay, and I feel bad because he's got
got
great
you.
stuff. But if at this point, you're hoping Alzolay can come back at some point this year, and then get some innings in and maybe be healthy going into next year. I don't know though.
I had not seen Ken Rosenthal had said that the Rays are also pretty busy looking at Cubs relievers in general. Like that's another team that has done a nice job of developing their own players. So I would feel good about taking. There's some franchises you get their prospects, or you look at their prospects and you're like, well, they don't do a great job of developing
Developing it
prospects. So
either.
I don't know if I really want to dig into that farm system anyways. The Rays are one of those teams that have always been able to take homegrown talent, turn it into major leaguers, and then, they can't afford them when they get good, so they just know that they're going to recycle the players.
Yeah.
Jesse Rogers always kind of has his finger on the pulse, saying that Michael Givens to the White Sox makes sense. And I was like, I guess I could see that.
They need a reliever, right?
And he said that that Rick Hahn and the Sox had actually kicked the tires on him a year ago. And so it's sort of a follow back to see where that's at. Cubs
He does
relievers
kind
in
of
general
scream
are an
White
interesting
Sox.
group.
Like he has White Sox written on his face. Basically.
I'd say.
I could see it.
It's another one of those scenarios where Michael Givens. I mean, he had like a little bit of a rough patch, or I think his walk rate was up for a little bit there, but he's kind of settled back in. I don't remember the exact number, but he hasn't given up an earned run, and like going on
Been
double
like
digit
13 or
innings.
14 outings.
I think it's like up to like 14 innings or something like that. It's in double digits of innings, and again, it's just another place where. The White Sox seem like a fit, sure, but again, like every team is looking for relief help. Givens definitely won't command what like a Craig Kimbrel commanded last year,
Right.
But he's gonna get the Cubs something in return of decent value, but it's not gonna cost other teams like a top prospect, in my opinion. But the White Sox, I mean, I haven't read the Jesse Rogers article, so I don't know exactly. But if they did. if they are interested in him, I don't see why the Cubs wouldn't
He was mostly
entertain
saying
that.
they're a good fit, and they had kicked the tires on him last year.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
logical that they would be looking at him again.
Yeah,
And-
so if that's a team that has interest in Michael Givens in the past and still has interest
Yeah.
in him, then that I could certainly see that being a place where the Cubs obviously aren't shy about trading with their crosstown rivals. They've had 2 last year. Obviously the Jose Quintana trade, big one 5 years ago. So I mean it's definitely a possibility and something that I could see happening.
I also think teams are starting, it's changed baseball, and I think teams value these prospects more and more than they ever did, because they just like the Ricketts family, the other cities are like, let's find a cheaper way to do this. Maybe the White Sox are thinking, well, their offseason kind of proved this. Let's go with a lower level guy and see if that can build a winner, just like the Braves did last year. The Braves didn't make super splashy trade deadline moves. They made some smaller ones. They made the Givens, Martin type, those type of guys, Jock Peterson, but you can make it work that way. They naked guys here?
Yeah.
Always.
There he is. Yeah,
There he is.
got a heater. Wears the same pair of shorts out there every single day.
And no shirt.
Just had to point it out.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Anyways,
Should we read
I think
this?
that's a bit of a trend as well.
Yeah. No, I'm
Not necessarily going for the big guy all the time.
Right. Well, the White Sox have so much talent, and it is actual talent, and they just haven't played up to the level that they're capable of. That doesn't mean they have bad players, but so that's why it's kind of hard for at least from my view on the outside looking in at them. It's like they have what can they really do to improve their team? It's like they have the guys that they grew, that they had homegrown, gave extensions to. You got the starting pitching that it should be better. I mean, well, actually it has been better of late, but I think it's their offense really that's been the biggest issue with them and why they haven't won games. But they've just been very mediocre all season. I think they're at a point where, because of what their record is, they're not going to go all in on someone crazy.
Well,
but
it's also,
a Michael Givens makes
right.
sense.
Yeah, it's also. I mean, I compare it to, and I want to get to Lil Yumper's super chat here. Lil, you got to make
Do we have to?
Lil, yeah.
I mean, it is a super chat, so I guess we have to.
I want to, but it kind of reminds me of what happened with Givens and the Reds, getting traded to the Reds last year. The Reds were kind of in a similar spot, like hovering around 500, but possibly you didn't really know if they were going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline. And then they brought in 3 relievers during the last week before the deadline, or during the week of the deadline, and one of them was Michael Givens. And so that I could see a scenario where the same thing happens to Givens again this year, going to the White Sox, who have obviously, like you said, kind of underperformed, injuries, whatever, have kind of taken their toll, but just haven't played to the World Series caliber a lot of people thought they could be coming into the season. And so if this is a move that's not going to – this is not them going all in, depleting their farm system or any of that, but it's going to bring a good veteran reliever to potentially help kind of, helping that turnaround in the second half if that's what they're, if that can happen. Again, I could see that the White Sox making this a more minor move, not a big splash trade at the deadline, but still someone that's going to help them out in the second half as they try to, turn things around and make that playoff push.
Yeah.
Lil Yumper wants us to jump ahead in the conversation. So you want to go back to we'll go back to a couple of these possible ideas for the Cubs, and we'll let Lil Yumper take control of the show with his with his super chat. $4.90 for $5. We're willing to do anything in this rundown
talks.
today.
Money talks.
Speaking of trades,
Chris
how
Tucker.
about those rumors that the Cardinals and the Nationals are exchanging names for Soto? And I did see those this morning. Cody, you woke up to them, and that's when I texted Ryan and I said, we need to have some sort of wellness check plan for Cody over the next 24 hours. Like, who's going to check in on him, make sure everything's okay?
I am just so mentally beat up by that godforsaken franchise in St. Louis. They have ruined my enjoyment of baseball for way too many years. That fan base deserves a 100-loss season. If there's any fan base in this country that deserves a 100-loss season for a year or two, it's that one. But you know why they don't? Because they always have the prospects. They know how to develop players. It's disgusting. I hate that I'm saying that because that's positive stuff for them, or it's nice things about them. No. But the sad thing is that they do have the prospects to get a guy like Juan Soto and then be okay after. They do.
Well, I mean, a lineup that has Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Soto be a pretty good lineup.
Right. No, the only thing that gives me any kind of hope, and if that happens, is will they actually shell out a a double-digit year contract to Juan Soto? History shows that they won't do that. But it's also like we've talked about it ends. Like he's 23 years old. This never happens. They didn't do it with Albert Pujols, but times were different back when Pujols was in his prime, and you know that they don't regret not giving him that contract now after signing that mega deal with the Angels back in the day too. So the thing that scares me the most is that they do have the prospects, and they could send what makes me even more disgusted is they'd probably throw in like Harrison Bader and like Tyler O'Neill and the Nationals would be that dumb. The Nationals would be that dumb to take on like those two guys, then like Nolan Gorman and Walker and some other dude, aka Washing Machine, and
Flaherty because he's always hurt.
Yeah, like it disgusts me. Like the Nationals, they're going to be right there with the Diamondbacks and the Rockies in terms of just really ruining my happiness. If Juan Soto is going to be on the Cardinals for the next decade, and me be in my 30s, oh man, I might have to retire from watching baseball. It disgusts me. It absolutely disgusts me.
I will say, and this might even hurt you even more, Cody. Remember I mentioned it I think I said it on Sunday, that because he still has 2.5 years left on the contract, even if they gave up this haul to get him, they could very easily flip him next year or at the year after the trade deadline and get recoup some of those prospects.
I'll say
they
this.
Could rent him.
If there's anything you want me to say to flip my thinking on it is, well, they really need pitching right now, and their offense is fine. It's their pitching. Flaherty can't stay healthy. Miles Michaelis has been good. Adam Wainwright's old. You don't know what you're going to get out of him all the time. He's solid, but he's not the old Adam Wainwright. And Liberatore is he's a rookie, and like where do they see him in this whole thing? He's going through his stuff. Like their pitching really is like, it's actually surprising because they've always had the pitching. That's why they're always in the division race. That's why they always finish with a winning record every year, because they've always had the pitching. But this year it's flipped. Like their offense is definitely there. It's the pitching that's not there. And so I am hopeful that because of that, they're going to be more likely to make a trade for pitching than for Juan Soto, because again, they also like Arenado could opt out at the end of the year, and like then like I don't know what they do like if Arenado opts out and they decide they don't want to pay him and then trade for Soto, then But again, if the Nationals are really really set on trading him before the deadline, maybe the Cardinals are just like, well, we'll see what happens the rest of this year. We're not the best team in the league, but at least we got someone to build around for the next decade.
Spin zone. Apparently, Mike Rizzo said today that they're not looking to dilute. Was it? This is from Robert Murray. Robert Murray FanSided on Junks Radio. Nationals GM Mike Rizzo said that we're not going to dilute the return of any player by including a bad contract. He later added, "We are in conversation with blah, blah, blah." So they're not. Patrick Corbin contract isn't, which means the package in return for Juan Soto will have to be greater, because it's not like, we don't have to give you these other prospects or two because we're taking on $59 million for Patrick
It really
Corbin.
will come down to what team is desperate. Yeah. What team is desperate?
Or just feels like they've got endless prospects. And frankly, that's what scares me about the Cardinals is they continue to just develop guys. It's the Yankees, it's the Dodgers, it's the Cardinals. Those are three teams that you never hear somebody say like, wow, they haven't had a prospect come up in a while.
Yeah.
They do it all the time.
Every year.
They can trade their three top prospects, the Cardinals, I feel like, every year, and it seems like, where did this guy come from? How they're not even rebuilding.
Right.
How do they have these guys that are available to be traded away all the time?
I had a little
I hate them, but that's the sign of a good organization.
For sure. And I'm like, that's how I feel. Like, it's like I hate them with every being of my existence. But man, if the Cubs can get a farm system remotely close to how the Cardinals run things, then yeah, we won't be sitting here having a rebuild every 10 years.
Man,
you know what I mean?
Man, it'd be tough to watch him on
took
that
up
team
most
for a
of
long
our
time.
first segment.
Yeah.
But you're-
Cody, let's take a quick break and
we'll
just
revisit the other ones.
let's get to Pointsbet real quick, and we'll go back to those. What
Well,
kind of
you
gambling
know,
you doing?
I just said
that
some
makes
ni-
you feel better.
Yeah, I just said some nice things about the Cardinals in terms of their farm system. But you know what? I'm taking the Blue Jays -1.5 tonight. You know why? Because Arenado and Goldschmidt not playing because they're not vaccinated and they're playing in Toronto. I'm not here to tell you if that's right or wrong, but I will say that I think that's hilarious, and that's why I'm going to take the Blue Jays, who have won 7 in a row and pounded the Redbirds last night. So, yeah, -121 on my favorite app, PointsBet, guys. Luke, you going to ride with me on that?
Well, right now,
If you
I'm
can figure out how to log back in.
I forgot my login since
Since Sunday.
since Sunday. I've forgotten the login, but all I know is that I'm plus for when I signed up with PointsBet. I'm like $6 ahead of my
you
original
go.
deposit.
There you go. You can't be
Plus
mad about
6.
that.
I've won
Profit's profit.
66% of my wagers
Profit's
on
profit,
PointsBet.
man.
Yeah.
Profit is profit.
Profits.
How many gurus can say that?
Not many.
66%.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if anyone wants to ride with me on that, feel free to tweet at me at Cody_CHGO. But if you're on the brink and you haven't even signed up for PointsBet yet, well, right now is the perfect time to do it, so you can bet against the Cardinals or bet against whoever the hell you hate. I don't know. It's an awesome feeling to be able to do that. It's also PointsBet's the best way to support CHGO, so it's another reason why I love doing stuff like that. If you use that code CHGO, when you sign up, you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You even get a free shirt of your choice from a CHGO locker, like Ryan's. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's he works out. He's got really. I'm not going to say anything. He just looks good in the shirt. And if you work out like Ryan does, you could look like Ryan. I'm just saying. I'm giving you way too many compliments. I'm done with that.
I feel good after that.
All
I feel
right.
better. I feel like I can make it through the rest
Now
of
I
this
need like
podcast.
10 more insults to make up for all my niceness.
Ryan's going to go do 10 push-ups before this next.
Anyway, so again, $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free T-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com. We'll help you out. Your home for live in-play betting just got even better. You see an edge in the game you're watching. Is your favorite team primed for a comeback? If you're a Cardinals fan that just loves to hate the Cubs, and you're sitting in here and you're telling me that that I'm a moron for saying everything I just said, well, you can live bet the Cardinals tonight when they're getting pounded, and maybe that'll make you feel better. I don't know. Or you could bet them pregame just because they're going to be dogs. They're huge dogs tonight, actually. So I just a scenario. More live betting, more live markets, faster live cash outs. Follow along with your bets the moment they hit. Stay in the live action all game long. Download the PointsBet app right now and use code CHGO. So what do you wait for? It's time to elevate your live betting game. Once the game starts, don't just bet, live your bet life with PointsBet. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling referral services.
Chicago sports fans, your home for the best Chicago sports coverage is now partnering with the leader in sports merchandise and collectibles, CHGO, teaming up with FOCO to secure your access to the best collectibles and gear around, whether it's Bears, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Bulls. FOCO will have something for you, your kid, a friend, or a loved one. Looking for some new gear, collectibles, or accessories? FOCO has officially licensed gear for men, women, and kids. Everything from bobbleheads to swimsuits to Crocs. FOCO has you covered, and the best Chicago merchandise of your favorite team. Head over to FOCO.com. Click the link below in the YouTube description for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. I am wondering about the swimsuit thing because I'm thinking if we could get Ryan in a Cubs Speedo or like a Cubs like singlet or something, that might help FOCO out, I had no idea you could buy team swimwear.
Why don't you guys all do a day where you all just wear swimsuits on site?
Well, at 50, nobody wants to see me.
How about this? How about that's what we do when we have 40,000 followers on like CHGO Cubs, like the CHGO Cubs account on Twitter, Luke has to wear a Speedo
do a
and
challenge.
go outside when naked man's on the balcony and chat.
I'd be more willing to do that at 500,000. I'm going to shoot for the stars.
500,000.
When we get up to half a mil.
But it's the point where you don't say anything to him. You just walk outside, just Speedo, and see what he does.
By the time we get to 500,000, nobody's going to want to see me in that Speedo.
Well, hello, beautiful.
Michael in the chat, Michael Cooley says, how do I get a membership? I did all of that and don't know how. Email pointsbet@allchgo.com. If you actually deposit $50, use the code CHGO at PointsBet, and you still don't have your thing, I would email that.
What was that again?
Pointsbet@allchgo.com.
Pointsbet@allchgo.com.
Yes, they should help you out. RWB has one that I haven't seen this spin zone before, but I kind of like the thinking. He said, what if we spin zone, we trade away Happ, Contreras, Robertson, Martin, Givens, Ortega, Wisdom, Smiley, and when you take all those trades, take the prospects you get, and then try and go trade those guys to get Soto. Now, that I wouldn't be totally against, but you would still have to add other pieces.
You'd have to add more
My
pieces.
guess is they'd still want Nico Horner.
Yeah, probably.
And they might want Keegan Thompson and all those guys you just got.
Yeah. I don't think the Nationals would even consider that.
No, I don't. I don't. But
and
I like
the reason being is everyone, and I've said this a few times on this show, is like, I don't think we should save yourself the pain and just don't get yourself up for like a major top 100 prospect coming into the system. Now, if it happens, I will raise my hand and call myself a moron. But like, I am prepared for the Cubs to get teenagers for Contreras, and then maybe get someone close to the major leagues for Happ. I don't think the Mets aren't going to give away their top catching prospect. From the Padres, I'd love to get Abrams or Capusano, I guess, but I'm not banking on it. I'm not I'm not sold on that. Actually, I just don't think the Cubs are going to get the hauls that we saw back in 2013, 2014. And that has a lot to do with just the market now and how teams just are not willing to part with their best prospects unless you're going to get a guy like Juan Soto. So, that's again, if I'm wrong, then I will say, wow, Jed, you really surprised me. I think last year is a good example. I mean, no one thought PCA was going to emerge like this year, and maybe Killian was the one in those three trades that we were like, man, maybe we could see him next year. But it's not like he was a top 100 prospect when he came over. There was a lot of interest in him from other teams, but it's not like the Cubs got major names that people knew about. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of the thing is like you said, teams don't trade top prospects like that anymore. They don't just throw them around. But just because they're not an organization or in the top 100 or in the organization's top 3 prospects, there's still a lot of good baseball players in minor league. And I know Michael Culada's talking about in the chat, not trusting Jed to make good trades, all that stuff.
It's his brand.
He did make good trades, and at least as far as the returns have been in the last year, PCA, Caleb Killian, Alexander Canario, Kevin Alcantara. Those are all.
Owen Casey's been off to a
Owen
good
Casey
start,
too.
The Yu Darvish trade, but
yeah. Well, even that's not even deadline. That's when they decided to blow up the team. But those are at least in the last year and a half or so have brought good returns. None have made it to the major league roster. I guess Killian did, but he's back down AAA now. But they all look to have a future, and obviously fans are excited about them. And none of those were the big name prospects that were being floated out there for some of these big name, trade chips. Mm-hmm. So can you go out and if they trade Willson Contreras, if they trade Ian Happ, go out and get guys that maybe aren't top prospects and number 1 prospect, number 2 prospect in a certain team system, but can still be good prospects to get excited about? I think so. Yeah. And I think Jed, and the scouting department, everyone that kind of went in, everyone that worked on those trades last year, it looks like they did a good job. And so I think if you just kind of look at that, you can kind of at least have some faith that, hey, let's see what happens again this time around, and then judge it a year later. Judge it after you get a full kind of slate from what they get back in return when some of these guys are traded. I think that's the best way to approach it and best way to look at it.
And again, back to the beginning of the podcast, like their two big fish obviously are Ian Happ and Willson Contreras. Those are their two all-star guys that they are willing to trade, contract reasons, I guess, with both.
I personally
both guys
think
have said that they have not had any extension talks with the Cubs. That makes me believe that Ian Happ is going in this trade deadline. Jeff Passan saying the Astros have been linked to Willson Contreras. Maldonado is their guy, but he's not a hitter at all. And his pitch framing is marginal, but he's great at throwing guys out. He's great at managing a rotation. But Passan also points out that one of the few knocks on Contreras is teams are worried about whether or not, as a marginal game caller, whether he'll be able to adjust fast enough to rotation. We talked about that a little bit yesterday about like whether or not he'd be able to come in, take control of the best pitchers on a and be a full-time catcher for somebody, or are you really going to give up a lot for a guy just to have another DH possibility and maybe swap out to have him come in and give you some at-bats in the second half of a game? I don't know. I think that market's interesting. Obviously, the Mets have been mentioned with him a lot, too.
Yeah. I think, and this is, I mean, let me know if you guys agree, Willson has caught all-star caliber pitchers for a majority of his career. Even as a young catcher, he was catching them, and they all thrived. They all succeeded. Even Kyle Hendricks never made an all-star team, but he was a number 3 or number 4, whatever it was, in the Cy Young race back in like 16. Like he just because he's not maybe the best game manager or pitch framer or even the best at just managing a pitching rotation as a whole or pitching staff as a whole, that doesn't mean those all-star pitchers or veteran pitchers that know how to work with different catchers throughout their career can adjust to him. Like I don't think it all is going to come from Willson adjusting to a new pitching staff. I think like if he gets traded, to say to the Mets, Max Scherzer would know, what to do. Like I think Max Scherzer would still be Max Scherzer regardless of who's behind the plate, right?
Max Scherzer's a guy that doesn't need the catcher to tell him what to do.
Yeah.
Right? Really, those guys are younger pitchers that haven't been in the postseason before. And I'm not saying there's not the communication back and forth, but in reality, if you have Max Scherzer on your rotation, he's telling the catcher what he's throwing.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. Now, the comment from Kyle Hendricks during the season just kind of raving on and on about Yan Gomes did make me realize that guys do see a difference between Yan Gomes calling a game and Willson Contreras. But he also balances out your lineup even more when you have a catcher that's offensively that productive. It also gives you some options that way. So I know that the Astros have another option, and that is one of their younger prospects, one of their top prospects is a catcher. I would love to see the Cubs go to the Astros and say, all right, here's Willson, and we'll throw in whoever, Givens, Robertson. I don't care who else you're putting in the package. I like the idea of that top prospect that's a catcher that's not quite there. So now you would have Amaya and this guy looking at being pieces of your future for catching. Like, is he available? I don't know. But I'm sure that's the type of stuff Jed's looking for. Like, okay, Astros, you really want him? Then give us the guy that's not quite ready for the majors but is pretty close.
Yeah.
That's what Cody's been dreaming of. Guys that are on the fringe of the majors but maybe not quite ready to dip into the postseason this year.
It's the only way that I'm going to be happy about moving Contreras and Happ is if you get guys who are ready to go next year. And saying happy is putting it lightly. Like I'm not gonna be happy either way, but like I can at least get up for the 2023 Cubs if they get some guys who can play next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Is it's always funny about how trade season works. Everyone starts nitpicking at all of the flaws of all these different players and stuff. And it's like, for the last 6 years, Willson Contreras has been a great catcher offensively, and he's been good enough defensively, and he's improved defensively. From the moment he came up, he's been an improved defensive catcher. And, you know, he always had the arm. The framing has improved. It's still not great, but it has improved. Like, all these teams, all the stuff that you're reading, like, to me, it's just so interesting because it's like, at the end of the day, these people are going to make these trades because they're desperate enough, because they need that bat, one more bat, or they need, you know, if the catcher they have is hitting 170 and has a WRC plus a 50, then yeah, they could probably suffer a little bit on the defensive side for the catcher if they get that bat in there to go with the rest of their offense. Like, to me, it's like, it's all these nitpicking things.
Yeah.
Like, it's so dumb.
And don't forget, Cody, this is a game of chess.
For sure.
And because the rumors are out there and you see Jeff Passan say, somebody's telling Jeff Passan, well, they're worried about, I guarantee you it's not Jed Hoyer saying they're worried about that.
For sure.
It's a team that's interested in Willson Contreras, trying to knock down the value publicly, so other teams are like, yeah, you're right, we don't want Willson Contreras.
Yeah.
He's not a great game manager. Like, the releasing of stuff to the media is very calculated by the general managers. It doesn't get out on accident.
No, for sure. And I understand that. I just, again, it'll come down to whatever team's desperate enough to want to add that one more piece. Yeah. And Willson Contreras this year is that one more piece. Him and Ian Happ are the one more piece for whatever team, you know, that needs that bat.
But
yeah, that goes into what we're all saying. It's like what you said. They're trying to, like, you know, decrease the value of what other teams see in Willson. But regardless, they're still going to make that trade, and they're going to make that trade, and Wilson's going to go in. It's not going to be a seamless transition because a lot of that never really is. But those guys, if he goes to Houston, those guys are all just in the postseason last year. Like, they'll figure it out. Like, they'll figure it out. It's not going to be like Wilson's going to come in and the pitching staff's just going to implode. Like, they'll figure it out. Those guys are all veteran pitchers, most of them, that know how to pitch in big games. Like, you know, like, it's I don't see any reason why Willson, you know, maybe not being the best game manager. That's probably, I don't see that stopping a team that wants an upgrade, especially an upgrade with a bat at catcher.
Just another bat. Forget that he's a catcher. He's another bat that you can put in there.
Exactly.
Ian Happ, Dennis Lynn of The Athletic saying Padres have inquired about Contreras and Happ. And again, that's what I'm talking about. I know you might trade both of these guys and you might be able to get 4 prospects. Let's say it's 2 for each. I'd rather have the Padres higher end prospect than 4 guys because you've already done one sell-off.
Yep.
Like, I'm shooting for the stars with these guys. Like, I'd rather trade, like, not what was suggested by RWB, but like, yeah, I'd rather trade 3 or 4 of them to one team and be like, hey, you need upgrades? Here's some upgrades for you. Now give us one of your top 2 prospects. And that's what teams don't want to do. Let's get to and by the way, I do want to say Jack R's pointing out what I was saying about, like, how reporters can be used. That also, I'm not saying Jeff Passan's not a good reporter. Jeff Passan is also filtering out some stuff that he's hearing, knowing that some of it's like chess pieces moving back and forth. Like, he's aware that that's what's going on as well. All right, let's do prospect watch. Enough about the guys. Mm-hmm. We know guys are on their way out. What about guys that could be on their way up, whether it's this season or next season? And, you know, one of the bright spots, Ryan, was like hearing that Brennan Davis, they're pretty sure he's playing again this season, which is something we were worried he was going to lose the whole year, which would have really set them back.
Yeah, we talked to Jared Banner. I believe his title, let me see, just make sure I get it right. Vice President of Player Development, Jared Banner. We talked to him on Monday. I asked about Brennan Davis, and he said that, as the quote shows right here, he's down in Arizona as we speak, just building up. We're hopeful we'll have him in games within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So, we had that back surgery, which from the reports was like the best case scenario kind of thing, like nothing structural is what I remember. And so, we've gotten reports that he's kind of already starting to ramp things up. He's starting to run all this stuff, and we're like, okay, like this seems like he's on a good timeline. And then now we get 2 to 3 weeks. He could be playing games, not AAA,
Right.
mind you. He made sure to kind of mention that down in the complex league in Arizona, that if he's getting a game action 2 to 3 weeks from Monday, that's mid August. If he could be back in AAA for like the last couple weeks of the season, like that's I don't know if anyone was really expecting that when the news first kind of came out.
What if we went down to AAA and did well at the end of the season? Bring him up for a week at the end of the season? I had totally ruled out the idea to make it back to the majors, but I don't know. If he did make it back to AAA, wasn't having pain, all of a sudden was having the results he wasn't having at Iowa because of the back pain.
Yeah. I think
Maybe.
that would all be great. I'd be looking forward to seeing if they put him in the Arizona Fall League.
Yeah.
Just to,
Way more likely.
Just to get those at bats. And then, they trade Contreras and Happ. There's going to be a lot of, all right, how much you spend in the offseason? How much are you relying on some of these young guys to come up and be really part of, the success of next year's team? Well, Brennan Davis, I mean, I don't think a lot of people would be on board to see him, start in AAA again next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I think the Arizona Fall League would be very, very important.
And that's something that, Jared Banner didn't rule out. Like he's obviously Brennan Davis isn't even back in game action yet, so they have to obviously watch how he progresses in that sense. But just with missing this much time with the injury, Jared Banner said, kind of just maybe, like pretty much maybe, as far as like, can he go play to the Arizona Fall League? Not ruling it out, not saying it's going to happen, just like let him kind of get back to it. I can see him going to the Arizona Fall League just so he gets some of the game action that he missed. But again, that remains to be seen. But that is good news too. Like, hey, like Brennan Davis will be healthy enough to not only what appears that he can come back at some point this season, but just to be able to go in and possibly play in the Arizona Fall League as well. Like, that's all good news on the Brennan Davis front, because that finding out he had back surgery was kind of like
terrible.
Yeah, I mean, whenever the news dropped, we were like, oh, he ain't doing anything the rest of the year.
Yeah, right.
So it's looking positive. That's the good news. The bad news is Braylon Marquez had shoulder surgery.
I
definitely reacted appropriately in Slack last night or the night before.
Monday night.
Like, this is nothing against him. Like, this sucks for him. But, like, how much longer can you just wait on a guy? I mean, what did he do to have this shoulder surgery?
Well, you just can't count on him anymore. You can't count on him being part of your future.
But my thing is like, and this is mainly on the Cubs, is like the updates that they have given us on Braylon Marquez. So just don't make any sense. Like, he comes into camp late, apparently has COVID for the second time, and then you hear nothing, and he's not even a AA. He's not pitching. The same thing happened last year. Like, everything has just been like, oh, he had COVID. And it's like, okay, if he's really had COVID and it's been this bad for him, then
that's not what it was.
Like, exactly.
That's not what it was. He was building up. He came to spring training late because of the COVID, but he had COVID last year, then he had all the shoulder issues, then, came back again this year, and then I guess those shoulder issues just kind of kept just never, I don't know if it was the exact same stuff that was bothering him last year, but like he had them again this year, and that stuff just never went away. So, but just like the official thing is he had a surgical debridement of his left shoulder on June 17th, so he's going to miss the rest of the season. From kind of what I've taken from what that term means. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not. What did I say last time?
It's scraping up, cleaning. It's a cleaning up, scraping away.
Yeah, I'm not. What did I say last time? I'm not a shoulderologist.
I don't believe a debridement is like tying pieces or new ligaments or anything together. It's a cleaning up.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of taken from that. It's like more of a cleaning up, which maybe that's a better scenario than obviously what it could have been. I guess. I don't know. But they're expecting him to make a full recovery. Jared Banner didn't want to get into too many of the medical details, but so he's gonna have the surgery. He had the surgery. He's gonna be out for the season. And I believe he said that they kind of let me find this so I don't mess this up.
Get him on AG1 and Owen and see if that helps.
Yeah, so it was something that this is quote from Jared Banner. It was something that has kind of been lingering for a while with both the throwing program and off the mound. So ultimately, it was something we had to do. And that's pretty much all I have to say. All I have on Braylon. That's, yeah. So
give us something positive, Ryan, on someone else. Like, okay, we started high with Brennan Davis coming back. We got Marquez not looking as good.
So we're hitting the roller coaster.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's take the upswing again. Give us positive prospect.
How about we'll go with Miguel Amaya. Miguel Amaya.
Yeah. Gonna need a catcher.
I believe he returned. Was it last week that he started? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not catching. This is the quote from Jared Banner. It's great for us. He is a real major prospect for us at an important position. Quality catching is hard to find throughout the game, so anytime you have a catching prospect, it's always great. So he returned to game action at the Arizona Complex League on July 1st. He had Tommy John surgery last year. Then he returned to Double-A Tennessee this past week or last week, and he's been playing down there. He's not catching again. He's just DHing right now, but I think that's the fact that he can even get out there and swing is a good sign for the Cubs. This is again from Jared Banner. He obviously hasn't gotten behind the plate in a while, and he won't be behind the plate for a little while longer. But at least to get him back swinging the bat, you don't want to miss too much time with a young player. So to get him back out there, he hit the ground running this weekend. We're excited to see that. Another guy that Banner didn't rule out a possible go out to the Arizona Fall League and play there. But again, that's a guy that had, the Tommy John surgery derailed some things. But he was a guy that was very highly thought of in the Cubs system a few years ago. And if Willson Contreras gets traded, you don't have a whole. You look at the catching pipeline, I guess so to speak. Miguel Amaya is still probably at the top of that. So to get him back just in game action in general, it is good. And then to possibly have him maybe go back to catching it by next year,
right?
That's going to be an even bigger positive. So, that's a good.
Well, like when he went to Myrtle Beach, that was sort of the start of people saying Contreras might not be here because they've got the next guy in line. And it hasn't been quite as smooth as I think a lot of people thought. Maybe the Cubs feel good about this. That quote bothers me a little bit in that they're saying, hey, it's an important position. You got to have a guy here. And it's like, you have a guy there.
Yeah.
You can still bring him along, but you have a guy there, and you're going to trade him in the next 6 days.
Yeah.
I understand.
Big G has it right. Quality catching is hard to find. So
it is hard to find.
About to trade an all-star catcher, LOL. Yeah.
And he's not the guy doing it. I understand. He's about developing the next guys, but glad somebody realizes how important catcher is.
All I'll say about Amaya is that it's good to see that he's playing, and he's actually he's even further along than Brennan Davis in terms of just actually playing in games. It's good to see. He's another guy. Send him to Arizona Fall League. If he can start, if by then he can start making actually being a catcher by then okay, fine. I will have more optimism about him going into spring training next year. But again, I think it's okay to separate him from Willson Contreras, even though I do like what the Cubs have done in terms of finding catching prospects. I mean, they got another guy, Moises Ballesteros, down in Myrtle Beach or South Bend. I think it's Myrtle Beach. But, I mean, he's in Myrtle Beach, so he's going to be a while. You know what I mean? So, that's why I still keep Contreras, not really involved with it. If Amaya was ready, for next year, then I totally get trading Willson Contreras. As much as I love the guy and as much as he's become a leader, but you just don't know. And also, catching prospects, not like it's going to work out.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, and here's another positive for you, Cody. Just
keep
shoving
it in.
Small sample size down at Tennessee heading into today. Amaya 357 average, 1114 OPS. Mm-hmm. Already a home run and 4 RBIs.
Call him up.
In just 15 plate appearances. So as small a sample size as they come, but he's mashing the ball. He's mashing the ball out the gate. That's for sure.
I'm glad he can still hit baseballs. Now, can you squat down and catch some baseballs and call a game. Like that's what they.
That's why you're
want him to
trading
be.
the other guy allegedly.
Right, allegedly.
Cody, go out and get that Amaya jersey. No, I say go get the Matt Mervis jersey. Huh?
My guy,
Mervis, huh?
I was
Mervis.
Mash Mervis?
I was
What
texting
I've
my
been
guy
told?
Mike Dubs. He's not in the chat today, but I was texting him last night. He was at the Iowa Cubs game. Says, dude looks huge. First off, but he also said the defense at first doesn't look great.
DH.
So yes, I was like, I jokingly said this to him. I was like, okay, DH re-sign Rizzo, all right, and then I said I was broken after I said that, but.
So here's the quote on Matt Mervis real
Anyway,
quick.
go ahead.
He's always had a really good swing and a ton of bat speed and power, but just getting him locked in the right part of the zone, that's a process that takes time. I think last year was a part of that process. Something has just clicked for him this year, and he started hitting and hasn't stopped. Sometimes that's all it takes. Again, from Jared Banner on Matt Mervis. Mervis was a 2020 undrafted, but it was a 5-round draft, so it wasn't.
He would have been drafted.
He would have been
Would've been
drafted by
drafted.
someone. He probably would have been drafted by the Cubs in one of those next couple rounds. I know Dan Kantrowitz talked to us during the draft last week and kind of said that he was on the radar, but just kind of the limited draft picks they had. They wanted him and then obviously brought him into the system. And he shot up this year, went from South Bend to Tennessee, now to Iowa. Again, another small sample size, not hitting as well in Iowa so far as he did in Tennessee and South Bend, but he obviously crushed baseballs down there.
And he went to Duke. He's smart.
There you go.
He's a learner.
So
I'm not saying anything nice about Duke University.
He's a learner.
I know I already see in the chat people wanting Matt Mervis to hit the big leagues at some point in the next, after the trade deadline, second half, whatever. I don't know that for sure, but Frank Schwindel, Alfonso Rivas haven't locked down a position at all. Perhaps you do see Matt Mervis come up and see what he's made of. Obviously, he has to have some more experience in AAA, put up a little bit better numbers, but maybe that is a guy that the Cubs bring up at some point in September and to see what he's got.
Yeah, when you're putting up the numbers he's putting up in
Hey, we're doing a
AAA.
podcast.
Joey,
Stop
we're doing a
yelling,
show
Joey.
over here. You're not-
We're doing a show, brother.
Yeah.
We're not going to show you.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to
we're not
show
showing
Joey.
Joey today.
Yeah.
Don't show me,
Anyway,
but don't forget who got the do-right donuts on Sunday, okay? All right?
Anyway, Mervis.
Didn't Luke pay for him?
No, I suggested we get him. I think actually Jake ended up helping pay.
okay.
Well,
Our guys.
there was double payment there.
Anyway,
Our guys.
Mervis, yeah,
was
he's
a team
putting up,
effort.
He's putting up insane numbers this year. He's very intriguing, and I think the fact that they got him undrafted, I know it was a 5-round draft, but the fact that they got him the way they did, shows what the scouting and player development has improved to. So to anyone, I'm all for your negativity, Michael Collada. I get it. Like, we should have paid some guys. But when you're in the chat and you're saying that you don't trust Jed in this front office in terms of finding guys to develop and build the next team, I have to wholeheartedly disagree with you there, because all signs point that at least there's a chance. Will they all pan out? No, but this guy looks like the real deal, and they got him undrafted, and he has the best numbers in the minor leagues this year as far as RBIs and home runs. There's the fact that they got him the way they did, it's actually kind of impressive. So I think there's the farm is the one thing you can lean back on this organization and be like, all right, well, get him here already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
All those
quote.
guys.
Another quote from Banner on Mervis. Kind of asked just kind of how has he been this consistent at pretty much every level he's been in. And he said the thing that stands out is he doesn't strike out. Most guys that hit for that much power strike out a bit more. So the combination of contact and power is pretty enticing. You do like to hear that about a player that hits for power, because we've seen a lot of power hitters that also strike out as much as any other player in the league. So.
Right.
Similar scouting report to one Ryan Herrera on the softball field. That's almost the same thing I've heard from other teams.
You should have seen this one hit that I had. Cody was there, and I cranked that one.
You did.
And even the other coach told me that he's like, you just hit it to our best player. I'm like, of course I did. But it was. I felt good about it.
They had the shift on. That's why Cody hates the shift. Do you have a PointsBet pick of the week we could go with? Like something we could focus on, even if it's a futures bet, like something you want to throw out there.
Well, on CHGO Bets Daily, today at 12:30, we talked about the futures for Chicago Bears running back David Montgomery and quarterback Justin Fields. And I really, really love the over for Justin Fields rushing yards. It's like 545, I think, off the top of my head.
Oh, yeah, that seems low.
Yeah. And he had like 400 some last year,
Yeah.
and he didn't play every single game. So
Still the
it's at
offensive line.
it's at minus 110 or minus 115 on PointsBet. I think that is an absolute lock that you should definitely be placing, because if there's anything the Chicago Bears have ever been good at, it's running the ball. And I think that this offense with Justin Fields, they're going to try and get him out running a little bit since he's young and shit.
I'd love to see somebody take Cubs money line all the way to the trade deadline. The Cubs just winning out, doing the opposite of last time, where
that would be-
it just looks ridiculous.
The Giants have dropped 6 straight.
Yeah,
they have
see?
to play the
Someone
Diamondbacks.
we saw that
tomorrow.
last time when the Cubs were on the losing streak and the other team, and
Yeah.
the Braves came in. Things had to change at some point.
Yeah.
I'm
just saying that
We had one last.
You got one more quote for us?
Yeah, it was one
all
more.
right, all right. Hit us with a quote.
It's on everyone's favorite prospect at this point, I guess. Pete Crow Armstrong.
PCA.
Jared Banner asked, the way Pete Crow Armstrong's kind of shot up over the last, honestly, this whole season. Just is there even a possibility, remote possibility, that he could be up in 2023? Mm-hmm. Jared Banner says, we don't put limits on any of our guys. We're not going to rush things either. Ultimately, his performance is going to tell us what he's ready for. So far, he's done a great job, and we've been somewhat aggressive with him, meaning aggressive at putting him at different levels. So we'll see how it goes.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Exactly, that's the quote. I mean, I'm not going to stamp my approval that he's going to be up in 2023. But if he, he's again shot up, he's already at a high A. He got put up to high A like a month or two ago at this point.
Right.
He shot up. If he kind of keeps playing at this level, there's a chance. I mean, and he kind of his time got derailed a little bit with that some with his hand, right? I forgot exactly what it was. He lost a little bit of time there, but keeps kind of playing at this level
He got
this
hit
year.
on the finger, didn't he, or something like that? I think he got
Something
hit by
like
I
a
don't remember
pitch.
exactly what it was, but
think so.
again,
Listen, man, put that guy in the Arizona Fall League. Is that possible? You can put anyone in the Arizona Fall League,
yeah,
right?
I mean, I don't know how.
I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know how it works. But
Anyway, put that guy in the Arizona Fall League this fall.
I would say it is because
and-
Nelson Velasquez was there
Right,
last year.
that's true. And then put him in Double-A to start the year next year. And if he continues to do what he's been doing, then thinking that way will allow me to talk myself into thinking we might see him next year.
Man, maybe we should go to the Arizona Fall League. Could be some nice weather.
Jake,
Watch a couple games.
where you at, Jake?
Arizona
Watch a
Fall
couple
League,
games,
and
do a few
Hey,
podcasts.
go out to the Arizona Fall League and then just kind of stick around there until spring training starts.
You'll guys,
Just ride
you'll
out
need
the
a
winter.
Yeah, not
producer,
even come
too.
back for Chicago winter.
What's that, sir?
What's
You'll
up?
need a producer too.
Oh, yeah,
that's right, we
true,
do.
yeah.
And we don't want Joey anymore, so
Yeah,
Well,
Joey
Arizona,
first, Joey's
we'll
dead
just
to
pick
I'm
up someone from
free.
PHNX.
I have
Right.
nothing to do.
There we go. Yeah.
Joey's out after that incident breaking up a perfectly good podcast by
know,
yelling.
Yeah, I don't know what he was yelling about, but
Right. Anyway.
Whatever.
All right,
yeah,
so
no,
those are
it's
some
exciting.
positives. I do have one last question before we wrap the podcast. How are you biding your time over the next 6 days before your heart is broken, Cody? Like, well, how can we distract you? And the obvious answer, if somebody asked me that, the obvious answer is donuts
Yeah.
or cupcakes or ice cream.
Do right donuts.
Yeah, like how do you distract yourself the next couple? Are you
lot-
watching something on television? Are you watching a movie?
Well, okay, so this weekend, the way I'll be distracting myself is my good friend Kate. Shout out to her. I don't know if she watches the show, but it's her birthday on Saturday. So she's having people over to her apartment in Lincoln Park. We're going to hang out, probably go out. So, barring if there's any breaking
I'm
news.
gonna say you do that,
I will
you're
be,
gonna get
I will be, I'm not going to be all lathered up, but I will be enjoying the company of my friends on Saturday. That'll get me through Saturday. Sunday, we're gonna have to get some donuts.
Sure.
But the rest of the week, I mean, it's hard, man. I've honestly, this morning I turned on MLB Network. Last night when I got home,
You did
I
that
turned
to
on
yourself,
MLB
huh?
Network. I can turn it on. Like I'm just,
Yep.
Nick G says, get yourself a big old Italian beef.
Oh, that's a good. There you go. I might make a few
that does
Portillo's
sound
trips.
good.
I could use a Portillo's.
Cheese fries.
Mm.
Got to go
Ooh,
cheese
cheese
fries. at
fries.
Portillo's.
Cake shake, maybe?
The best thing
I'm not
about
big on that.
my
No?
favorite thing
Too
about
much for me,
Portillo's
actually.
is they
I
give
like
you
it.
the cheese in the cup.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
favorite thing
Yeah,
about
I don't want it
Portillo's.
on top. I don't want
Yeah,
on top
yeah,
of
yeah.
Chrysler
I
just a soggy pile of cheese and
Yeah,
muck.
yeah. I
I
like
want
to
them
dip it.
separate. I want to do the dip.
Yeah, the dipping
that's
it,
right.
it hits different.
I'm not the cake shake guy. I am a chocolate cake.
I
from
do like that
Portillo's,
cake
though.
though.
I used to get chocolate cakes every year for my birthday. It was just like the
It's
one
a
thing.
great
I was like, I
chocolate
don't care
cake.
where we go, but
you know
I need
what
a
you
chocolate
do?
cake.
Get yourself a little Culver's on the side of that chocolate.
Oh man,
Bingo.
you're going crazy. Now
Oh,
you're
she had a
you're doing
left
too
she had a
much.
leftover. What do they call them? Concrete
Mixer.
mixers. She
Concrete
had one.
mixer.
She had one of those leftover that had been sitting in our freezer for 2 days last night. She pulled it out finally
There you
after
go.
she got home from work, and I just looked at her like, "It's time." Like, it's time. You know that I'm getting some of this. Like,
We're back
I have
at-
let this sit in the freezer this long. Like, me.
You were like a Labrador sitting on the floor with your tongue out. Like, you gonna have all that? You
Well,
gonna
she
finish
wanted-
that? You gonna finish that spike? Huh?
She
You gonna have it all?
she wanted to eat it in bed, so we went to lay
Cody's,
down.
like, poking
And
her.
I'm just
Hey.
like sitting there laying down. I'm like, how you doing? Like, let me get some of
Is
this.
that too cold? I'll keep mine short, sweet. I may be apartment hunting
Oh.
over the weekend.
Did you reach out to the realtor that I gave
No,
you?
I actually need to do that to you. I need to talk to you about that,
Okay.
so we can figure that out.
Yeah. I
but
know people.
I have found a couple places that I'm not gonna say where. I don't want the public to know where my domain is.
Well, we saw
My
a mattress
dojo.
at the back of the stairs over here, so I don't know if that's yours or
No, but yeah. So
that'll be a little distraction. And then you're going to be in St. Louis the day of the deadline,
I will
right?
be in St. Louis on August 2nd.
And we're planning a
deadline.
draft or a trade deadline
Show.
special podcast that day. In
Yeah.
fact, if anything happens, we'll 99.99999% chance we're going to be ready to go. Like,
Right.
if Contreras gets traded, we're going to try and do a podcast as soon as possible.
If he,
Get
if
it
he
up
gets
and going.
traded on Saturday,
Open up the chat.
We will be doing a show somehow, some way.
Yeah, and
If we-
that's the thing is like,
Sunday,
even though I'll be
whatever.
doing that, Cody will be doing his thing. As soon as something breaks, we got an emergency podcast. Might have to happen. Like might have to be ready for that.
You guys
it
are
might
going to have
be-
to cut down on the barley pops then.
Yeah, it might be 11:30 p.m.
You're gonna have to limit the
Cody's,
barley
like,
pops. You
8
need to be
beers
lucid
deep,
if you're
and then
doing the
all of a
show.
sudden,
Yeah. No, again, I'm gonna be distracting myself from all of this on Saturday by enjoying the company of my friends and not being insanely intoxicated. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
good for you.
I am a man of the people. How many times do I have to say it? Man of the people here. All right? Like, if it's trade season, some things are bigger than my enjoyment of alcoholic beverages.
That's fair. That's fair.
And that would be PointsBet.
That too.
Thanks for dropping in to check out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Again, we will be here for pre and post game on Thursday. And then if anything breaks over the weekend, we will have Breaking In with podcasts. Corey and Brennan will do always their series ending podcast. Corey's going to join us for tomorrow night's remote one because it's a late nighter. I think our pregame's like 8 o'clock.
Yep.
And then we have post game. But we'll have the chat up, and if some of these trades or rumors start to kick up, I'm sure that will take over a lot of pre and post over actually just a baseball game.
Yeah. We'll see.
Until then,
Oh,
do your
one more
best
thing.
to stay sane.
One more thing.
Oh yeah,
I gained like 11 followers on TikTok today because of a video I posted. I am 20 followers from 300. Go follow me, Cody
that.
_CHGO.
Cody gained 11 followers. I gained 11 pounds. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. Have a great night and fly the W.